New episode of Carolina Sports Talk starts now.
Can y'all feel that? Can you feel that thing that's oozing out your doggone hands? That thing is beating your doggone chest right now. Can you feel that?
Welcome back to another episode of Carolina Sports Talk. It's your main man, Big Cliff, as always. And for the first time in a long time, I am joined by my main man and yours, DJ High Star, in the building. My dog, what's good with it, bro?
I think what's your man? It was what's Cam's middle name?
Jarrell.
Cam Jarrell, one Cam Jarrell Newton once elocuted, "I'm back."
You got that off, sir. Congratulations. You got that off.
We're gonna have to figure out a new photo shoot, get some updated photos. That was the old Jerome.
That was the old Jerome.
DJ High Star, rather. Way to look behind the fourth wall because we live, but that was the old DJ High Star.
You know, it'd be like that sometimes, but my dog done glowed up. You know what I mean?
Wait. First of all, my glow's been up.
So you can't glow up from a level of glow up, though?
And there's been a lot going on.
Be there and then kind of get a little bit more there. I mean, tell me
there's
something.
been a lot going on since we last saw each other. But yeah, so you're alluding to the specs, of course. Call me Four Eyes, and I will take that nickname proudly. You know what I'm saying? However, you guys have not seen me since.
Oh, here you go.
Now, point of order.
Go ahead.
I might wear this the whole show, but point of order. Shout out to Winston-Salem State University, who came home with the whole they won the whole CIAA tournament. But I'm still gonna always rep for my Panthers, and I'm glad that I got the free gear. Shout out to Dr. Warmack and Dr. Rico Burgess. Had a great time up there, man. Huh?
President and Vice President, Claflin University.
Yeah, they made the alumni feel very welcome up there. It's something that you feel like you can go back to, and return to, and it was nice. Claflin made their effort to, lay out the orange and maroon carpet for your boy.
Okay, so for the listeners and for our viewers, this is Carolina Sports Talk. Appreciate you guys joining us on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. But for those who may not have known, you were gone now 2 weeks in a row. You ain't been on the show. One of those weeks I
didn't get paid for those 2 weeks either, y'all. So don't worry. It's not like I'm stealing from the company. I didn't get paid for those 2 weeks.
You said it like you get paid for
unpaid
anyway.
Unpaid vacation.
But while you were gone the first week, you were in Baltimore, Maryland at the CIAA. You just told, let us know that, they laid out the red carpet for them. Let us know a little bit about the experience. Yeah, orange and maroon carpet. I like it, and I'm stealing it. Let's get it. But yeah, so how was the game overall? Tell us a little bit about the gameplay and just the tournament as a whole.
So in general, with the city itself, I think one of the big concerns people, I think, felt like the city is busy. It's a blue collar city, of course, and it's busy. So the best part of the city, the inner harbor, where you can kind of see you can see DC across the water or stuff like that. Like that inner harbor area, and then some other areas like Glen Burnie and like different ritzy areas are, where stuff happens at. But so for CIAA, they kind of took over all of downtown, like that by the inner harbor and stuff.
Okay.
So that was the first thing that stood out, like I said, the hospitality from Claflin started from the time that I got out there. Really, there was a meet and greet Wednesday for us to be able to attend. And in Claflin, we didn't play until Thursday, the way that we were seated. So I didn't go to the game actually until Thursday. Again, they had it in the arena. I think it's the Royal Arms Arena or something. It's their main like arena that they have concerts and all that stuff at. So it's a pretty big arena, nice, nice area and a nice space. The gameplay, of course, was up there. Like with Claflin, unfortunately, one of our main point guard got injured early in the game. I think that you were watching, from back here at home, and that crippled us really, or hurt us, for lack of better terms. That hurt us for the rest of the game. But as far as overall gameplay with all of the teams, they were. This might be controversial, Big Cliff, but the men's, of course, all of the men teams were competitive.
Okay.
Take with that what you will. But
Yeah,
it
no.
was a game that women's basketball, because I love y'all too. It's not, I ain't saying nothing bad about women's basketball. I'm just saying that all of the teams weren't as consistently competitive.
And you know what? As a matter of fact, before we go any further, I do want to take a pause and recognize and acknowledge International Women's Day today, Wednesday, March the 8th.
Yeah,
So
layup.
once again, so shout out to all the women out there listening, all of our women listeners, sports fans, all of the athletes, the just amazing women, because, without you guys, there is no us. And without us, the world belongs back to dinosaurs and animals. So nonetheless, first week you were there, you were out there doing your thing in Baltimore. Next week we were all excited, looking for that recap. And then I get a call. So I'm going to give you guys a little, I guess, a peek into how it looked. I get a call. Yo, dog, what's up? What's up, man? Yo, so how's your day been? First, I was like, oh, here you go.
Wait. First and foremost, don't front like that's not how I always give a general salutation, and I sincerely ask how you are doing, right? So don't make it like it was.
But in that instance, I could feel it in my spurt. You know what I mean? That there was something extra, but
scheduled to record, right? Go ahead.
Exactly. It was on the day.
So that's why you could feel it in other words, because
I could already tell, like, even like, you know what I mean? But again, nonetheless. So long story less long, my guy got the opportunity to go to a Hornets game, but not just any Hornets game, because if it was just a regular game and they were playing like the Kings, intentional diss. If they were playing like the Kings or anybody else, it would have been like, yo, nah, we got to record. We got a show to do.
Something to do, yeah.
However, it was a significant Hornets game. It was the return of Kevin Durant, but not just his return, but his first game as a Phoenix Sun right here in Charlotte. So my dog High Star had a chance to go out there and check it out. Yeah, I was going to get you. We talked about a little bit, flirted with the idea of doing some reporting, but nonetheless, how was that experience? How did KD look? I know we've had a chance to see him on TV since then, but in person, what was that experience like watching his first game back?
As advertised, that's my first time seeing. I don't think I ever saw him when he was with the Thunder. That's my first time seeing him play live, but as advertised, makes the game look easy. I mean, the guy. Yeah, he's different. Devin Booker is different too, but the thing that always sticks out in my head to me with Devin Booker is that it's the moment where he's playing summer ball or whatever like that, and he's like, "Hey man, we ain't doubling. Yo, nah man. Hey, what y'all doing? We ain't doubling." That always just sticks out in my head. But nevertheless, D-Book as advertised. Of course, a declining Chris Paul, or Chris Paul on the back. What are they calling it in golf? The back nine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, but yeah, as advertised is what I could say for the most part. And the other thing is, to your point, I didn't realize like the significant. I did definitely realize the significance of that game, because I'm like, okay, yo, it's KD's first game in Phoenix or whatever. So I really want to see his debut with Phoenix, but it's like, because it's coupled with injury, I guess, or whatever, and him coming back from injury or whatnot. So it was all the more, right? And then my job has an office in Arizona, in Scottsdale. So when I told them, the people that's over there, they was, oh man, what? So it's definitely, I'm glad that I made it out there. Yeah, and shout out to our Pro Fight Joe, who definitely looked out on the tickets. That was a blessing. Yeah, like that's one of them things you can't pass up. But had a great time, man. Had an awesome time watching the Hornets take the shellacking. But while I say that though, Dennis Smith Jr. he's holding down the fort, trying to like he's not what Brunson is to the Knicks, and we'll get to all that stuff later. But he's definitely like giving them a steady hand at the wheel while LaMelo is recovering or doing whatnot, and like takes some of the load off of Terry Rozier when it comes to scoring. But overall, KD.
was
The efficiency of KD, yes, bro. The efficiency.
Basketball seems like it's turning a corner now too. As we draw closer, we're past the All-Star break. These guys are locking in, trying to make these last-ditch efforts and pushes. Some new teammates acclimating themselves to one another. But as you mentioned, we'll talk about that in a little bit more in just a moment when we get to basketball. But I want to start with some football because I mean, I missed already.
And while we're in the off season.
Listen, we got to start getting like a clicker time down, like countdown type situation for the return of football. But in the meantime, we do have the NFL Combine that took place. But I do want to go to you guys' comments in the Facebook feed. I see that Patriot Patty is watching, joining us. Says thank you for the shout out on Women's Day. And then A Liz from the DJ Blaze Radio Show podcast says, "Nice frames, High Star." So shout out. Wink, wink. He's got them all shining over their little glasses.
I'm blushing.
As we proceed to move forward, there were some definite risers and some that negated to seize the opportunity. Yeah, I definitely just breezed by your whole little shine moment, dog. Yeah, I did that.
No. I'm just talking about. All right, that's fine. But I'm just ayoing. Go ahead.
Relax.
We're gonna move forward. Easy, Rome. Easy, DJ High Star.
Dog, first of all, did you get a chance to you done twice? You out here just shooting that whole
today, I don't even
in the street. See, that's what happened when you ain't on the show for 2 weeks, bro. But nonetheless, did you get a chance to catch any of the combine, or what are some of your initial thoughts from the combine up in Indianapolis?
Yeah, initial thoughts was can I share with you my real initial thoughts since we're live?
Okay, go ahead.
Man, I wish Cliff would have bought the bottle. That was my initial thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Or my other initial thought was I gotta use the bathroom from all this beer I've been drinking.
This dude here, bro.
You want to get some context, Big Cliff?
Patriot Patty, man. Get your man, Patriot Patty.
So look, in all seriousness, I'm gonna let you go ahead and, you know what I mean, drive this bus, because I was watching, but that's not even like even if we weren't together and stuff like that, like that's not an event that I'd be, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the off season. Yeah, I'm not the off-season NFL guy. Oh, the draft's coming up. Oh, they're doing a lottery today. Oh, and they got like, I don't, you know what I mean?
I got you. So here's the thing, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into like the jaw and stuff like that. But I put out a hot take while watching the NFL Combine that Anthony Richardson, first of all, definitely made himself some money, but I could see him being the type of project that if this Panthers squad or Panthers coaching squad is as seriously talented as they have been touted to be, if they are the Avengers of the NFL coaching world, then he's the perfect type of candidate for them for these reasons. He put on display everything that you could look for physically from a quarterback. Now, granted, we know that the film far outweighs everything that was just on display, but there's a lot of people who have gotten some job security and a lot more who have lost their job based on what they did and did not do as a result of the NFL Combine. But Anthony Richardson made him some money, and I can see him. I was hoping to have had him at 9. Having had some conversations with different individuals, including one who was actually in the building at the draft at the Combine in Indianapolis. It's not likely that he's going to be around for us at the 9th position. From all accounts, it's very likely that we can see him being one of those top 3 going. There's a lot of expected movement with regards to those top 3 spots, knowing that the Jets are looking to make some moves, knowing that the Chicago Bears at the number 1 position are looking to make some moves. And so very likely he's going to be gone before we even had a chance. But he definitely made himself some money out there with his performance at the Combine. Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Another one, standing at 6'2", 238 pounds. Bro ran a 4.3940. Now, I want y'all to think about that for just 1 second.
He gained a little bit of weight since Duke.
You know what?
You always got to be ready. Go ahead, man.
Shout out to Nolan Smith, the former Duke guard, for those who may not have gotten that.
Here all evening. The DVD's in the lobby.
But at the end of the day, he's an edge rusher, bro. He's a lineman. He's gonna play on the line, hand in the dirt, and he's running the same speed as these wide receivers. We've talked several times before about the versatility that's required in the NFL. Watch this guy here. Go ahead.
And you, easy, DJ Highstar. And you, not you personally. So don't take this as an attack. And would you, if you are Tom Brady, want to go back and play another year, like at Miami or whatever these rumors are saying? Would you want to
listen? Any dreams, hopes, or thoughts that I had of wanting to? No, because guys, not my size, but of my stature, are running out here like wide receivers. The versatility, though, that provides for these defenses to be able to have linemen that they can spread out into a corner position or to be able to drop them back into coverage. They have the speed, the size, and the mentality to be able to keep up with these wide receivers. And that is something that's going to be very, very dangerous for somebody's squad to have a player that big, running that fast, and being that strong.
It kind of reminds me of another thing that I observed at the game is like the speed of the game, of course, at that professional level, even in college, like even with college, the speed of the game is such like a normal thing that it's an anomaly, or it's a difference maker when teams actually slow the ball. Like you'll hear a coach saying, you know what I mean? Slow it down just so that they can control the pace, because these is like world-class athletes that are going up and down the court, back and forth, and then because of their height, a lot of times you ain't taking more than 3-4 steps and you're on the other side of the court, maybe 2-3 total dribbles going on before you making a basketball move. And it's like, it's a different game, to your point, football and basketball, where, you know, the athletes that we have become, these we talk about it all the time, but these student athletes, they're doing the AAU work or the personal training and development. If you're in baseball, you got a hitting coach now, or if you're in football, you're doing the extra stuff or going to these camps and stuff in the summertime. If you're a quarterback, to get developed extra or whatever, and doing all of this stuff. So we are like producing, you know what I mean? Like Voltron, I don't know, like
these next level athletes, man.
Right,
and the athlete makes the difference. Now, the athletes and talent and their natural gifts are enhanced by coaching and by scheme and by fit. But you got to have something. You've got to have some oomph behind you at the beginning side of that. And to have these guys that are literally big. We know that the game in the NFL has gone to a passing game. It's a passing league at this point. And so the defenses are starting to catch up. All these big-bodied corners. Once upon a time, you could be 5'7", and if you were running a 5'4", man, you was all right. You had a spot. You was gonna make it to the league. Now you got to be
not no 5'4", bro. Come on now. Come on. That's walking. No, you said, and you were running
4'5".
Thank
My
you,
bad.
Bro. I'm like, wait, what? That's a
5.
light jog. Yeah.
If you're a cornerback running a 5'4", sit down. And I mean, we might can find you a spot. I'm not even gonna name those schools because you know how people be getting in their feelings. But we might can find you a spot at one of these other colleges around in North Carolina, maybe a little, North Dakota or something. But nonetheless, a lot of folks made some money. Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon, another big-bodied cornerback, 6'1", 197. He a little light, but he still running a 4.3 40 with 41 and a half inch vertical leap, bro. Like these, the athletes, a bunch of these guys made some money. Now, on the flip side of that, with some winners, there's always going to be some losers. And there were a couple of guys who came out and did not quite perform how they were expected. Keyshawn Butte is one of them, the wide receiver out of LSU. He was looking to be a first rounder. He had playmaking ability. He's a deep throw threat consistently, but he got out there and ran a 4.5 40. Now he's 5'11", 195 pounds. I don't know who put some rocks in Cuz' pocket. I know that on the field, he plays much quicker than that. I'm hoping that as they move forward and as they kind of go throughout this draft process, if he can and will and does, I'm hoping that he's able to make some of that back at LSU's Pro Day. But right now, the young man is tumbling down a lot of people's draft stocks because, as we said, when you got defensive linemen who are running way faster than you as a wide receiver, you got some problems. Another one.
My fault. I was gonna say he spent too much time at the combine pre-party the night before. That all of the players and the prospects was at.
Let me go ahead and get the rim shot ready for you because
thank you. Come on, I told y'all I'm back.
I got you, my guy. Here all night, literally. But Mike Morris, the edge rusher out of Michigan, was another one. Standing at 6'5", 275, he definitely has the size, but again, the speed aspect of it is something that's going to be a little bit troubling for him. As where you've got some of the other guys running 4.3s and 4.4s, he ran on 4.95. So just to get out of the weeds, the more you can show who you are, Dope Digitals, here you go. Shout out to my guy watching on YouTube, Dope Digitals. But the more that you can show who and what you are when everybody's looking, when the lights are the brightest, that's when you have that opportunity to make your money. Those who had that opportunity and a chance to play in the Senior Bowl, same thing. The lineman out of South Carolina State went there, put on a clinic, and was actually elected to be one of the captains for the Senior Bowl. So you can very likely anticipate him being a second or third round pick just off of what he's done throughout his career and showing when the lights are the brightest, he's got that performance ability. And so shout out to South Carolina State, who can honestly this year look for the 4th consecutive year to have someone drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round of the NFL draft. So shout out to South Carolina State and the Bulldogs. But just before we get off the NFL, do want to talk a little bit about some of the free agent signings that have started. We know that officially free agency doesn't begin until the 15th of March, but you do have those who are able to go ahead and sign some new deals, such as the free agent Derek Carr signing a $150 million 4-year contract with the New Orleans Saints. Now, let's talk about it for a second. $100 million in guarantees, $60 million of that at signing for Derek Carr, coming off of a less than stellar performance throughout his first tenure in the black and silver. What are your thoughts on Derek Carr signing with the Saints?
There's an indifference about it.
Okay.
Where I definitely is one of the names and stuff that was swirling around Carolina. So I'm kind of happy that we didn't, because I don't know how many years and miles he has left as far as production wise on the field. I really don't like. So I was whelmed, under or over.
I was whelmed. Kind of there.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, it's funny also to me, like, I'm like, what has New Orleans got going on with this quarterback thing? If you really analyze their quarterbacks and stuff, it's like, all right, we got the hybrid tight end quarterback, we got the black quarterback that steals crab legs and talks country, and then we got, you know what I'm saying, the good old Derek.
No crab legs, man. Hook up.
Do you remember when he ate the W? Because I'm not gonna do it on live, but do you remember that at all?
I do remember that, and I also remember when he got kicked off he got kicked off for a start and ended up coming in the second half.
I shouldn't have said all of that, but quirky, the black quarterback with a personality, the marketable kind of, you know, black quarterback,
friendly face.
not the face of the franchise, right? But the smile that always gonna give you a good soundbite.
The Wayne Brady of him.
Yo, hit the rim shot for yourself on that one. I see where you're going.
I appreciate it.
I see where we're taking this today.
This is the comedy episode. He got jokes episode.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I did not like the signing just because I don't want anybody in the NFC South to be better. How much better he is, I don't think that he's like, oh, I'm worried about them now. Because at the end of the day, they are long in the tooth in the defensive side, although they've got some really great players. As you mentioned, they're getting older. This seems like a very pinnacle and pivotal year in the NFC South with Tom Brady retiring, with there being the transition over in New Orleans now with Carr being their quarterback, and even in Atlanta where it just still seems like they're pretty much a dumpster fire. Shout out to all of the Atlanta Falcons fans. My bad, Sute. but y'all sorry, and we don't really too much care about nothing about you. Also signing some deals. Geno Smith signed a 3-year, $75 million with a max value of $105 million, but $40 million guaranteed at signing.
Cute. I know I ain't been here in a while, bro.
With the Seahawks. What?
I'm seeing what you're going to queue up. I don't want to produce you.
See, I was going to do it, but then I was like, nah, but you know what? Let's get it.
Yeah. Shout out to Geno, man. Well deserved. After having his jaw broken in New York, look at where you at now, man. That was New York, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And
Geno, man.
He was going to be a starter at all. And so we talked about it here on the program when the Seahawks said at the beginning of the year, we kind of like our squad. We're pretty happy with where we're going and da-da-da-da. They just lost Russell Wilson and everybody's like, yeah, y'all are going to be trash. And then we realized, no, that's a whole lot of trash on Russell Wilson's side up in Wilson. And I caught it up in Denver, but nonetheless, Seattle, they had a pretty relatively good season. And through the first 7 or 8 weeks, he was an MVP candidate because he just came out of nowhere and was doing this thing.
Exactly. It's like when you're driving in like a place like Charlotte, man, these people can't drive, man. These people can't drive. Then you go to Atlanta, man, these folks can't drive, man. These folks can't drive. Then you go to Columbia, man, these people can't drive. These people, like, maybe you are not the best driver. So it's like, did Seattle realize that it was Russell and not them, right? Like,
it appears so. Now we'll see what Sean
is the evidence right now, right?
Exactly, and we'll see what Sean is able to do with Russell Wilson up in Denver this upcoming season. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's just
so Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson, or Russell Wilson made Pete Carroll, or was it symbiotic?
I said to be determined, but I don't know, and I think it was a matter of good fit at the right time. Right. Having a dynamic defense early on in his development was essentially key for him, and him being like the same thing with every other mobile quarterback. At some point, your legs gonna start like not being as leggy as they were. Exactly, and so we'll see.
Everybody gonna catch up to you. And it was kind of blasphemous what I just said as far as Russell Wilson making Pete Carroll. If we really got to put respect on his name, on Pete Carroll's name, right? Like what he did leading up to going to Seattle. So that was a little blasphemous. Shame on DJ Highstar. Go ahead.
Nonetheless, I think that this year in the South is wide open, and so I want to see what's going to happen. I am very, very, very interested to see what the Panthers do. There's a lot of different realms that we could go. I think the very first free agent signing that they select and make will dictate what the rest is going to look like. If they're able to get a quarterback early, which I think if they are looking to get one in free agency, that will be the move. I think ultimately that's going to dictate what happens with regards to the draft and the rest of free agency as well. If they first sign like a tight end, and then some offensive linemen and fill some critical holes at that point, then we can almost dictate that they look to see that they're going to move up in the draft, because I don't think we're going to be able to get one of the quarterbacks. There are reports out that they only really have their eyes on 3. Unfortunately, I heard and saw the report that Anthony Richardson isn't one of them, but that may be because they know he's not going to be there when they pick at 9. So I ultimately think if they got their eyes on one of those 3, they're going to move up to do it. And so we'll check out to see definitely what they're able to do. We want to give a special shout out to Dot out there in Facebook land checking us out. Thank you for joining and watching us. Our guy from Claflin University, Richard DeHart, my God, that's a singing fella, y'all. It's out there. Shout out to Mr. Wilson joining us. He says, "Ear." And last but not least, before we get off the NFL, there are rumors swirling. I'm talking about quarterbacks and those who may come. The Carolina Panthers have requested to, and this has been since we last met, to have a conversation with Mr. Aaron Rodgers about their quarterback position. Hi, Star, what are your thoughts on if he's a good fit and if we should bring Aaron Rodgers down?
Yeah, anything. Yeah. Anything other than Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, is a great fit. But it's not. He's not going to. You know what I mean? It's not like a square peg going into a round hole or anything like that. Aaron Rodgers will make the situation. You know what I mean? Like KD it's not a matter of, yo, is KD a good fit out in Phoenix? Nah, and granted, Aaron Rodgers is on the back nine as well of his career. However,
yeah.
Huh?
No, I'm sorry. No, his back nine though is still he's one of the greatest.
Yeah, better than a lot of guys. Like, yeah, exactly. It's better than a lot of guys' best efforts out there. So it truly, and then of course his experience. You know, although if we really break down his Super Bowl experience and you know what I mean, then that resume is kind of short. But just his postseason experience, his experience throughout these seasons, as far as just winning or persevering and still, and just fighting for the win. It wouldn't be anything bad for Carolina, put it like that. Do I see it happening? Do I think it's likely? No, I don't. I don't.
I come from two sides of this, and I hate to like talk out both sides of my mouth, but I can see both perspectives. On one hand, on one side of it, if Aaron Rodgers comes, it's because they feel like we have the roster and we're in a win now type of mode. And if that's the case, then I'm excited to be able to see what they're able to do, and I'm ready to win. I sat on the show and have yelled for weeks. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of that, and I don't like to lose. I hate losing. And honestly, if they feel like they're in a win now mode, that is the way to go. If, however, they feel like we need to build for the future, we've got a couple of holes that we need to fill, we need some time, and they're looking to be able to establish the franchise more as a perennial power, then that type of quarterback, specifically even Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, is not the way to go. Want to give a shout out to my guy, Street Poetry on Facebook. My boy says, negative. We need someone to stable the ship, not steer. He will be in and out, and we will be reeling behind every decision, much like Green Bay.
That's
and
an
I
awesome
agree.
Point. Awesome point.
Shout out. That is a very good point, because if you think about even with Tom Brady and what's happened in Tampa, granted, his first year, he brought them a Super Bowl. So I don't know how mad they can be about it, but then you turn around and then the following season to not know if he was retiring or not, and then he retired, and then like he got home and Giselle was like, and then he just like, now I'm going back to football, and then had that terrible season. And so I get that component of it, and I see how that could stretch it. Honestly, I would love to see us get a franchise type quarterback and to establish a new era in Carolina Panther football. But my only concern is that they're not going to be able to do that. I've seen too many times where, it's a new day. And then we just get disappointed. Matt Rule, when he got up there with his press conference and was out there preaching, man, I was, this guy is it. We're going to da-da-da, and it didn't materialize.
I remember.
Yo, relax. And so I don't want to put too much on him, but this is a pivotal point in the Carolina Panthers franchise. The decisions that they make at this point, and I want to give them a shout out for the at least perceived steps that they're taking. They're doing their due diligence with every decision and making what they feel are the most informed choices. And so I'm hoping that translates and relates into us moving into a more stable position as a franchise and being a perennial power. We've seen it happen with the Bengals. The Bengals were a joke for a long time. Even when they were kind of good with your Ocho Cincos of the world and the Andy Daltons, they were never able to kind of turn that corner. You see now that they have appeared to do that. The Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid turned that franchise around and have made them a perennial power through the draft, through good free agent moves, and I'm hoping that the Panthers are able to do the same.
You know me, I'm always, with anything the Panthers do, I'm always just watching it with a side eye. So I'm going into it, of course, with one of my favorite terms, of course, lowered expectations, to see what they end up doing or who they end up landing in the offseason. But because outside of Aaron Rodgers, there's a couple other big names that are out there or that have some possibilities of making some moves, correct?
Yes, and it's in fact good. Boy, you a pro at what you do, sir. Let me give you that shit.
You're supposed to play it off. Yeah. Next time we're gonna act cool. All right. Let's act like we've been to the end zone.
Act like we've been there before. Shout out to Ashton Nesbitt, who says, Reich gonna go get Wentz and say, let's try this again. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you should know better, sir. You know it ain't nothing going on with Carson Wentz. And if I'll tell you one thing for certain, y'all thought that I was getting ready to abandon the Panthers when they were talking about signing Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
If the Carolina Panthers go and sign Carson Wentz, not only am I going to burn every Carolina Panthers piece of nail that I have, I'm going to Charlotte, I'm going to North Mint, and I'm holding up a sign that says, move the franchise. I quit. Y'all done. We don't even want you in Charlotte no more. Y'all clearly don't know what y'all doing. Y'all don't need to have like hands to type in bad football stats no more, because that's a terrible move and it ought to never happen again.
Just make sure that you wear your Carolina Sports Talk shirt when you do it.
Oh, without doubt. I'm calling all the newspapers. I'm calling. Listen, a matter of fact, I might have my new gig follow me down there. I might go in that capacity. To be determined. Y'all check your boy out, man. We got some big things popping. But nonetheless, football is still very, very far away. Free agency, though, is right around the corner. We've got next week, on the 5th, that is next week, the 15th, free agency officially begins. So we expect the flurries to begin. And I'm hoping it's a snowstorm and not just a little dusting. And we hope that it really just turns out to be what we expect and anticipate it to be. But in the meantime, NFL is almost here. Not really, but NBA is in full swing. So I say almost, bro. It's got to be. It's right around the corner, man. Let a man dream. Can a brother have hope? Can we keep hope alive? Come on, bro.
I'm just saying, bro. Never mind. This easy, DJ I-Star. Easy.
Now, go ahead.
All right, yeah. No, I'm just saying, if a multi-billion-dollar industry like the NBA is in the, you know what I mean? So the getting out of the means. Why don't we lead with that? But I see what you were doing. You were producing. You wanted to tease the audience and keep them until I got you. All right. But now that we're here, I was just shooting you bail, bro. Now that we're here, though, real quickly, very quickly, want to go over these scores because they're from yesterday evening, Tuesday, March the 7th. We had the Milwaukee Bucks over the Orlando Magic, 134-123. The Washington Wizards beat the Detroit Pistons, 119-117. The Charlotte Hornets went up to New York, took care of business against my New York Knicks, 112-105. The Philadelphia 76ers beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, 117-94. The KD-less and Kyrie-less Brooklyn Nets beat the Houston Rockets, 118-96. And I can see all this clearly because of my glasses. Not a sponsor. And the Thunder beat my Warriors, 137-128. Mavericks beat the Jazz, 120-116. And lastly, your Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, let me stop music. Go ahead. We need to hear you. No, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Exactly. For all of that, now, yeah. You know how we normally have trouble finding a spot to talk like with each other. We jump over, like, yeah. Now we both quiet, yeah.
The Los Angeles
really want to take it there. If you want to take it there,
against the Memphis Grizzlies, 112-103. The job.
So many layers, right? So many layers.
Man.
You want to talk about the surging Knicks and the surging Lakers, or do we want to
jump straight to job? Nah, we'll hold off. We'll because I got some words for my guy. We.
All right, so real quickly then. Okay, my Knicks, they were surging. They just lost to Charlotte. That's what I got on that. I was just playing.
You ready to get the Knicks?
Yeah, to the Knicks.
Doing your thing, bro. Y'all are doing your thing right now. The Knicks look good.
Couple names, of course. You know, the things that Brunson has brought to the franchise, I think, this year with leadership and kind of just having that center, you know what I mean? That true point guard, in other words.
Right.
RJ, yes, okay, cool. As far as the whatever, like all right, cool. Like I've never been the biggest fan of RJ, but I know that the kid is young, is a prodigal type of thing where he's got the potential because of his frame, and you know what I'm saying, that he can be a long NBA player for years and years to come. So I'm not mad at that. Julius, him and RJ I have issues with because they're so ball heavy. But they still, again, Julius is doing his thing. Now, Emmanuel Quigley, just want to give my guy a special shout out. You know what I mean? He's the type of player that, man, because the guy got the defense, he's got offense. That's the one of those X factors on our squad. Like him, the Mitchell Robinsons of the world, the Obi Toppins. Those are like the X factors that they're locked in and focused right now, and that's one of the reasons that our team is surging or whatnot.
Where do you think you guys will land? Right now, you are sitting at a 5 seed, 39 and 28.
How many games are left?
That is 50, 67 minus 82. So what is that? 15?
Right now we have, so I think the floor right now for us is 6. I think the floor is the 6th seed, but the potential and the ceiling was really, to me, is about 4. I think that we have that goal of getting home court advantage because it's in sight and it's attainable. So that gives us something to try to reach for or whatever. So that's why I think that, again, that raises the floor up to like the 6th seed. And then right now it's about staying disciplined, finishing the season strong, but then doing something with whatever seeding we get in the playoffs and making some noise outside of the first round. That's literally where their mind should be at right now. Finish the season strong with momentum. Mm-hmm. Like, that doesn't mean streaking all like a 12-game winning streak but last 15 games, you want to win 12 out of those last 15. You know what I'm saying? Rough. And then make some noise in the playoffs.
I can see it. And honestly, I'll see your 6 floor, ceiling 4, and I'm going to give you just a mean 4. I think that you're only 2 games back behind the Cavs. They're dealing with injuries right now, and I can see them continuing to slide. They were up as high as the number 2 seed at one point. I could see them continuing to slide down, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Knicks as a 4, maybe even a 3. The Sixers, they're going to be who they are at this point. They're sitting at 43 and 22, but even then, you guys are only 4 games back from them. I could see y'all being a 3-4 seed and possibly even a 3. Now, on the flip side of that, if we want to talk about surging teams, the Los Angeles Lakers, once upon a time, it wasn't too long ago, everybody was talking about how the Lakers are done, and
you were talking about it. Not everybody. You are everybody right now.
You gonna let me do this? Hello, is this thing on? Let me do this. Once upon a time, not long ago, everybody was screaming, the Lakers are done. They're trash. They made some good moves, but it's too much too late. Hi, everyone. I'm everyone. There was no way.
Sorry, bro, you know my reflexes. You know that I was like knee jerk. You had to text me or something that one day. You see, that was genuine for me. Like, no, we're gonna stop this whole tape right now. My bad. My apologies.
I'm everyone, bro. I get it. Like, I was trashing the Lakers, and I think it's the LeBron hater in me that, for whatever reason, seems to be a little bit more strong than the actual Laker fan, because I don't see the future with what this whole system looks like. I don't see how we're going to be able to pull out of this era without starting to make those moves now. As a result, we are now up to the 9 seed. Congratulations. I think that we'll probably end up doing some silly stuff like finishing at the 8 and then having to play in a play-in tournament, maybe making it to the first round and then losing in the first round. Period, point blank. I do not see the benefit in this surge. I'm glad that we have players that are young players. I think that Rui is one that is going to be able to take us a while. I think Bryant would have been, well, I'm not even going to go there. But nonetheless, I think that the moves need to start being made now so that we can have some sustainable future long term. AD is out of there. He will not be in purple and gold next year, y'all. Anybody who's wanting to put your money down, I'm not a gambling man, but go let High Star know and he'll take your money on my behalf. But AD is out of there. I would love to see LeBron gone. Honestly, ship him to Orlando at this point. Go ahead and let Bronny play his 1 year at Ohio State, and then the two of them can be happily ever after in Orlando doing nothing but making a whole truckload.
LeBron likes LeBron. I can see that because LeBron loves young potential. Like Pablo is somebody that he would be like, if I join forces, like LeBron is to young athletes what Drake is to. Never mind. I ain't even gonna go there honestly because it's family friendly. But Drake got to watch the age of some of these girls. That, anyways, listen, I just took it too far. But LeBron, he loves like I had the prospect or the idea
Mhm.
and he done messed up that boy AD whole career.
Got that man sitting on the
4 or
bench.
5 years, right? AD done took 4
Yeah.
or 5 years up there in LA to just. All right, we got
Shout
the
out to
ring. But
Ashton. Ashton on Facebook Live says AD and LeBron will be there next year, especially if we make the playoffs. Sir, not only am I willing to go against my no gambling system, but I will gladly I won't gamble money, but we could talk off air about whatever you're willing to lose about that one, because I'm willing. There's no doubt in my mind that AD, he's turned the corner now with the sour face that he's had previously, and he's actually starting to play ball every 3 games that he's not hurt. But he, what dog? Yeah, I was in it. But ultimately, that hurt is real. To know that you brought me here, I was fine where I was, and I could have been anywhere else. But following behind you, I came to LA. And then you're going to try to get me traded like you did every other player that you've... Nah, bro. I'm not playing with this guy.
It's a cold game. It's a cold game.
And even if you think about it, how LeBron's been out most of the time that AD has been actually stepping out. As long as he's not on the floor with him, as long as he doesn't have to be around him, I think that he's in a good spot. And as a matter of fact, I think I want to go ahead... No, I'm going to... The relationship that AD... Yeah, because I was spinning down shift. But I think the relationship that AD and LeBron have is very synonymous with another famous squad that we'll talk about a little bit that's got some very visible tension on their squad. So,
all right. Well, just real quickly, your bass in the decibels in your voice, it kind of raised whenever you were responding to Ashton. Not too much on Ashton, bro. All right. You know how I go about him and his line brothers. So let's relax. Yeah, relax, bro. Relax with it. Was yeah, I will gladly take your. My boy got some credence to some of his points. Is at least hear him out or see why he would say what he would say. Don't do that, bro. Don't raise your voice at that shit like that, bro.
I wish I had a rock sounder. It doesn't matter what he has to say. So that's what happens when you actually try to read comments and Facebook start talking while you're on a live. But nonetheless, did you hear the playback just now or not?
Yeah.
Live TV, live Facebook, y'all, live YouTube. This is Carolina Sports Talk. It's your man Big Cliff sitting in with my guy DJ High Star, back from his world traveling of basketball events and tournaments and whatnot. We are sitting talking right now about a little bit of NBA basketball. Next up, my guy Ja Morant.
Okay, I can intro it if you want me to, but go ahead. Yeah, you do it.
No, this is
go ahead. No, brother, please. It's South Carolina.
Carolina Sports Talk.
So should I just start off with my question then? Like that, is that how you want to introduce this? All right, yes. Carolina Sports Talk. Out there, everybody, we want y'all to answer as well. Who would you rather have as a father? LeVar Ball, T. Morant, and one more option, because this is Carolina Sports Talk, Alex Murdaugh. Which out of who would you rather? Is that too soon? Too soon? Are we live? Hello? Is this thing on?
I'm not gonna let you get the tent.
Is this thing on?
And we're back,
folks. I'm here all night selling DVDs out in the lobby.
This boy here.
If you want a picture of me, it's $10. Take a picture in the back.
So real
out of those 3, yeah.
2. Which now Liz says on Facebook, which kid do I get to be for Alex?
What if you use the thing? Which kid do you get to be?
Bruh.
It is Carolina Sports Talk.
It is, and I'm off. I don't even. Ultimately, this stems back to Ja Morant and his shenanigans currently. We've got Detroit Coalition comments on YouTube. Man, I got to throw this one up there because I like that one. You got that one. They comment, it says, is LeBron the Tasha Mack of the NBA?
Things that so many layers to that.
Yes, so many layers to that one.
Clutch Sports himself.
Shout out. Now, where do we even start? Darius, shout out to you. He says he's taking LeVar Ball, and he says, boy, DJ High Star, you wow. Bruh, at the end of the day, I know T is doing my dog a disservice, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I'm taking T Morant. And probably just because he's from South Carolina. Because LeVar, for all of his antics, for all of his over the top, for all of his Suge Knights, hey, them my sons, but I'm now out here. Let's go. Y'all look at me. I could have beat Michael Jordan 1-on-1. I could have been in Space Jam. Like, for all of that, I'm saying he's a good dad. Bruh, like, put on for his boys. He made proclamations and by the power of his tongue say, yo, all three of my boys are going to do da-da-da-da-da. Now, one of them did da and not da-da-da-da, but he put on for his sons and really put them in a position to be able to go and do the things. And he's only ever been about making sure that his boys eat and that his family wins. And so, again, for all the antics, LeVar's a good dad. All of that being said, I'm taking Tifa because he's from South Cac. Period. Carolina stand up.
That's what I'm about to say. If I'm on that type of time because of come on now, because of all the free gear I got, thanks again, Dr. Roman. But nah, I would pick.
Money.
And listen, look at the comments though. Like, look at the comment that A-Liz left.
A-Liz says, T that cool parent that let you cuss and smoke weed in front of him. And however, it's part of what the problem. Now, if in case y'all know what we even fussing about at this point right here.
Right.
Ja Morant is in the news currently. He's away from the team. He's been asked to take a leave, an indefinite leave of absence from the Grizzlies as he's being investigated for showing pictures online or video online of him waving and brandishing a firearm while in a club recently. Those of you who are Carolina Sports Talk loyalists, first of all, shout out to y'all. Y'all are real MVPs. Y'all can remember almost a year and a half ago at this point, we talked about Ja Morant and I was saying how, he's the next face and he's this and he's that. I just need my dog to chill. I was watching his live one day on Instagram, and this was, again, long before all of the accusations of him being a fake thug and the 8 Mile references and all of that, before he had begun to get that national spotlight. Dog had a birthday party that several of our friends and associates and people we know were there. And I was like, yo, y'all tell Ja he got to chill. Bro was on the live then, toting a pole, just like he was smoking, he was drinking, he was wilding, he was doing his thing. And although at that point it was just literally a young guy having fun, the signs were there was like, y'all, nah, but like, you got superstar potential. You're in the league now, bro. You got a little bit more to lose than all the rest of them boy who we gonna see at the park shooting ball next week. You know what I'm saying? And so I noticed it then. I even literally sent word through because I'm not gonna flex and be like, yeah, I know Ja, he cool. I just know a bunch of dudes who be around him. You see what I'm saying? And so I told him, like, yo, let that man know he gotta chill. He can't be doing that stuff on the live like that. They apparently didn't give him the message, and he has not yet received that message yet either. Go, High Star. Yeah, you're muted.
So this is the other thing about it, though. We're live, but so I like, I'm torn, man, because T, even though like a lot of people joke around and say T probably be wearing Ja's clothes, T dresses a lot cooler and fresher, and like I wouldn't be as embarrassed to have T as a parent versus LeVar because of LeVar's, again, brashness and all of his whole brand of, yeah, you gonna hear me and I'm not apologizing for who I am. I'm sober and this is my, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we get you. Like T is, again, he got, I think we relate to T Morant a little bit more because of those Carolina ties. It's just, that it just ended up that was a great question by accident. But like the way, I think it was mentioned in the comments, but the way that he handled the Shannon Sharpe situation, or like you could see that, all right, you're gonna be this pseudo B-list celebrity out here, and just shaking it up with everybody at these games, but you have a genuine kind of like respect that everybody kind of respects you for, and also it's like as LeVar, watching him probably play in adult leagues as his kid versus watching T Morant play in like adult leagues or anything like when I was younger, as a kid, I probably would want T to be my father.
Just off the ball alone.
Yeah, off of that. But like I said, it ended up being a good question by accident. Like honestly, and nobody's picking Alex. All right.
Not at all. Meanwhile, so I do want to give a shout out to Demetrius Bryant, one of our frat brothers, who back on Sunday before the whole pivot of attention started going to T, he said, instead of being a friend to him, Ja Morant's dad needs to be a father to him. I think that and I love the comment and I love the spirit of it. There are a lot of different levels, and even with the I'm hoping kind-hearted, comment that A-Liz said, T's a different kind of dad. He's one of those ones who, yeah, he's enjoying that spotlight, but I think that he's as like you mentioned and alluded to, street poetry. My dog said, seeing how T handled the sidebar convo with Sharp shows he intends to be a real buffer. And then even Ashton saying, that's the problem. T too cool. There's levels to it. You can be the relatable dad who is like, hey, yeah, I don't mind if y'all do this. I don't mind if you do that. Or, son, you got to make your lump. Like, I get that. But at the same time, when things and the choices and the decisions that you are making as a young man, as an adult, are affecting your life and potentially your livelihood, I don't care how old you are. Your father then has the obligation to step up and be your father. As a man, as someone who has leadership and authority over you. I don't care how old you are. I'm 40 years old. And if my pops calls me tomorrow and says, hey, yo, Cliff, XYZ ABC, I'm going to be like, depending upon what he said, I'm going to either be like, yeah, nah, Dad, I appreciate you and I respect that, but nah, that's dead. Or I'm going to be like, yes, sir. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take that opportunity to listen. Now, ain't none of us in Sumter, ain't none of us out there in Memphis with them to know what kind of conversations that they have had.
Absolutely.
And what JR is or is not listening to. And T doesn't seem like the type that's going to come out and say, well, I told that boy he shouldn't be doing that and taking them guns out there and wilding and beating up people. Even if he did say it, I don't think he's going to be the one, just off of what we know about him and around him and the kind of guy that he is, to go and say that publicly. He's not going to down his son. Now, we may see that, there later on comes out some documentary on the life and times of Ja Morant that he took on and turned it around and put himself in a different position. But I ultimately do feel like he's having those conversations. Y'all know people that no matter what, whoever says to them, they're going to do what they want to do, period. We don't know what's going on in the people's house. And so at the end of the day, to just openly and just blanketly bash T for not being a good dad is trash, because I know a lot of good folks with good parents who turn out to be trash people.
So I agree. When I've heard that in the press, hearing Stephen A say it sounded a little cringy. Is just, again, to your point, we don't know what the conversations are being had whenever the cameras are not on and whenever they're not in the spotlight, whenever they're not dripped in Versace frames and ice and all of that stuff, whenever they, you know what I'm saying? Whenever they just kicking it with father and son, he might still, we don't know. He might call T daddy. But one thing that consistent things, right. But speaking of pause, but like High Star Senior, it's his birthday today. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jerome Jones Senior.
Happy birthday,
in addition to International Women's Day, and us talking about this father stuff, I figured I would bring that up because I was talking to my dad today. But to your point, like, you still, regardless of how old you get or how old your parents get, you never want to disappoint them. There's a certain level of reverence and respect, but also there is a level of fear that you have with like, physically or like literally what you may be able to do to your parents or your grandparents. However, just the way that you were reared, they always can speak in one certain tone, and you know what I mean? And you should be able to know, like, okay, this is serious time or whatever. But with that whole situation, again, Stephen A. Smith, he gave his like vibe or whatever like that about the situation, which I respect, of course, because he has something to draw from with the Allen Iverson thing or whatnot. Now, Marcellus Wiley, he gave his perspective on it, and I liked what he elocuted more or less, of course, because he was in that type of situation, young with the Chargers, about to rob them and get the big bag, and then like he was alluding to, he's like his father was more of a fan versus a father when he felt like he needed a father in a lot of those situations. So I definitely listened to those brothers and what they had to say. But to your point, like we really that's all of that is speculation. Whenever we talking about how anybody else parents and stuff like that, that's like it's cringy to me. It's cringy to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, how do you feel about the perceived hypocrisy of Nike? Standing by him strong, of course. Now, granted, I'm gonna set the table. I'm sorry because I do that a lot. But so Nike stands by Ja. They made a statement on it and everything like that, and a lot of people were comparing it to the situation with Kyrie. And again, what Kyrie had went through a few months back with regards to the post or the tweet regarding that documentary that was available on Amazon. So with Kyrie at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were towards the end of their or at the end of their negotiations, or they were beginning to they were at the end of a current deal, or the terms were pretty much ending on their current deal, right?
Yes, they were actually in closing renegotiation of the new levels with them. Yes.
So with all that considered, or do you take that into consideration when I ask a question like that, like I did?
Absolutely, because it does matter, and it's actually going to kind of jumpstart my response. Kyrie standing on his principles, Kyrie being who he was, saying the things that he did for as long as he did, not only and I don't want to make it about race, and we'll talk about that in just a moment too, but he not only rubbed a lot of white folks wrong, he was starting to rub black folks wrong. He was getting on a lot of people's nerves. There were those who understood him and still stood behind him, but then it was like, all right, Kai, but you still got to chill, though, bro. Much to the same way that, like Kanye, how there are those black, white, pink, green, orange who support him, but then he just keeps coming. Hit after hit was with, yeah, dog, but chill. You're not wrong, but like, fall back, relax. And so when it gets to that point, it's about dollars and cents. The marketability of these individuals is what makes these companies want to sign them to these long-term deals, continue to work with them, continue to overcome certain things with them. A lot of what Ja is doing now, he's not been convicted of any crimes. He's not an aggressive and or violent offender in any way, shape, or form. Even though he's, as A-Liz put in there, holding his little pocket rocket.
Street Poetry's joint too.
Yeah, listen. I'm coming back to Commodore. Yes. Although all of that is the case, I think because one, he's a bit younger. Two, he's still incredibly marketable, and he's going to make the money. And I think the dollars are going to override the cents with that one. And that's much to the reason why. Now, if it comes out that he got bodies and or has,
Hernandez, yeah.
Yeah. Now at that point, they'll have no other choice than to be something different. But I do want to revisit. You just alluded to it. My boy, Street Poetry, Commodore is a nut. Commodore says, but look how Ja was holding that pistol. His daddy has kept him away from the streets. He held that thing like a dirty diaper. They good.
I was about to say, I do want to comment on the pistol. So, if you identify, what is that, a 380 or like
380 or a little mini 9?
Okay,
I know that boy bet not be having no 22 nowhere. But go ahead. I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt and say 9 milli or a 380.
Oh, okay. Oh, the 22 like a V4 pretty much? It's like
it's like an electric bicycle.
Got you. But so yeah, a firearm is a firearm is a firearm is a firearm. And the people that are getting on him about that as well, again, it's not the last firearm that they made or the first one. Now, our boy Street Poetry, that was a funny comment though. Like I am rocking with the comment, and I do so, and that brings me to my next quick point. We have footage of Ja in the kind of their home setting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It looks far from,
I don't know what I'm doing with
it. Uber urban. It looks far from uber urban. Like it's not police sirens and all of that. Not from what, again, they have. Easy, bro. Easy.
Go ahead. This
no, they have, yeah. They had the whole full court in the backyard. I mean, in the back of the house, and then there's footage of Ja, the young Ja, when he was in high school, doing basketball drills, NBA worthy, NBA level basketball drills in his backyard and working out. Now, in all of that stuff, it doesn't translate, of course, to you're this preppy guy or whatever like that, because I believe that basketball players, hoopers at that level, or that are always a cream of the crop, like in any level that they're at, as far as from AAU all the way up through high school, college, everything, they do encounter tests of their manhood. So like they are faced with fight or flight situations and scenarios. So it's not anything out of the question that he probably squabbles. Yes, you give it up and you get down like that or whatever. But there's a difference between being like a man and is gonna stand up for yours and not let nobody punk you, and then being a street dude or whatnot, right? So it's like now people are getting the idea that you are in these streets, like a Jalen Rose, like Allen Iverson, like these Marquise Daniels, Zach Randolph, Steven Jackson. You know what I'm saying? These players got that tag on them. Like, let's take Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas doesn't even have the reputation for being street. He just had the incident in that facility with a gun, but he's never been out nowhere saying he's street or nothing, and then see how fast everything crumbled for him. So, because I brought that up because I saw him even volunteering advice to Ja with the situation. But
I've been frustrated with this whole narrative
Black History
for a
Month.
couple of reasons. Listen, for a couple of reasons. Detroit Coalition says over in the chat on YouTube, I have a feeling that Ja's mama is doing all the talking now. That's the quiet part that a lot of folks don't realize. Ja mama about her life too, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna leave that one where it is. I do want to give a shout out on the Facebook side to Sego Thomas and our dog at Divine Sanders who are watching. Appreciate you fellas for joining.
Do a backflip.
I didn't catch the reference, so I was gonna let it slide. But it's Divine.
That's what I was. That's such a divine comment to make.
Exactly. So we just gotta let that one slide and let it be what it is. Shout out to the good bros though, man. Because guess what? At the end of the day, Divine got his Carolina Sports Talk T-shirt. Did the rest of y'all have y'all shit? But as we move forward, I think that it's important that y'all got me thrown off with the Ja Mama comment now and now the backflips. But I don't remember what I was talking about at this point because these,
I mean, we were just pretty much putting a bow on the Ja talk in the discussion. All right. So after you read some of the comments, bro, let me know where you would like to. That's not even a good question of where you would like to see Ja, but what?
Ja, got it. There we go. I picked it up. Advice.
Yeah, I said that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but
go ahead, bro. Go ahead because you're gonna make me mad.
Y'all, this guy here, like, I don't care nothing about this live, about us being on our show. What's up? No. So Ja Morant is in a unique position that he has the talent and the opportunity to make money that can change his life and those around him forever. I want the young man to be careful in that with all of those cautionary tales that you talked about, who were able to overcome some things. And then some like Gilbert Arenas, who did play for two other teams after the situation, but never yet received another of the same opportunity. I do not want this young man to be typecasted into saying that he is either something that he's not, and or not being given the full opportunities for who he truly and genuinely is. And as a result, if T isn't having these conversations on the back end, I need him to. And if T, his father, won't, and his mom doesn't step up and do it, whomever is the instances or in these instances are around him, if he's not making the best choices, they need to step up and help him get to that position where he can get out of his own way. He's way too incredibly talented to continue to allow young this is Carolina Sports Talk, to let young dude decisions affect the rest of his life. My pops told me, as I must have been in middle school, son, and anytime I hear my dad talking in my memory, it's like Mufasa's voice. Son, you always want to have options. And so that stood with me. Never do something now that's going to prohibit or take away your options later on down the line. And that's exactly what Ja is doing right now. And I understand living your life. I understand the invincibility of youth. I just got over that a few years ago when COVID tried to kill me. You feel what I'm saying? Casey Mack says on YouTube, shout out to the bros, the good bros. That's are what you do. And that's true. But sometimes you can, now you of all people, Casey, can know that sometimes your actions that you make in choices and decisions when you have less than the right, mindset to be able to, you can overcome them. And so I don't want anything that he does now to overcome that. What?
Take it easy. I thought you was about to break bro code in some ways. I was about to say, take it easy over there. I don't know where you're going with this one.
Anybody who knows Casey he used to beat up people for fun.
Okay. You're right. Okay. His street ways, you're saying.
Yes. Street ways. Exactly. Get your mind off of that and let's not put his business.
No, bro. Now, listen, I'm trying to show discretion, but all right. Yeah,
so like to be able to do those things, you want to do, like, again, make your mistakes, but be mindful to never allow any of those mistakes to prohibit you from being able to move forward and doing the things that you want to do and not have those choices later on in life.
You know who was Ja with no talent or not a ounce of the talent that Ja has?
Who's that?
PJ Hairston. Every time you used to hear about PJ Hairston, now granted, development league, Charlotte showed him love and signed him as well as a hometown or somebody from North Carolina, but he squandered all of his opportunities. Every time you heard about PJ Hairston, he was in a gym fight at like a Fitness Connection or something like that, or out on a park somewhere in Charlotte, getting into scraps and just stupid things. So I believe was it Lenny Williams as far as the LeBron's or Lenny Cook that was LeBron's like rival or whatnot. That was one example of somebody kind of squandering talent and not, like, in other words, Jalen Rose said something very, very profound, and he was like, the talent is what it is, but the thing that elevates after that are some of these intangibles. So the things like, the discipline and everything like that. Like, just I heard it on a podcast that just when they saw the video of him in the club, that made them revert back to his response to the reporter asking him about KD, and that just all of that stuff lined up for the person that was on the podcast, and they were saying that now they can't even, like, that's why when it's empty, it's shallow threats and stuff that they have that they mouth off to the rest of the league. When Desmond Bain or Jackson, what's my man name? Jackson. That's one for me. But whenever they're talking about like the Warriors and stuff like that, it always felt like shallow and not not deep threats or whatever like that. And that points to the leadership on the team. You think, like, well, I'm not going to ask rhetorical questions, but the last video that I did see of him, he on the private jet, Casamigos, Anejo, or the Reposado, one of them, just drinking it like it's Gatorade and recording it, like doing everything you want to do, huh?
This is Ja you talking about doing that?
Yes, bruh.
See,
that was the most recent thing that I saw as far as video. So I don't even know how old that particular video is or whatever like that.
Right. But you brought up a good point that actually kind of is amplified by a question that Bobby Donlep Jr. asks in the chat on Facebook. He says, do you feel the team/owners should have mentors or guidance for the younger players on their teams? I absolutely do. And in the event, anytime, from two perspectives. One, is going to help these young men. You don't nobody want no babysitter when you're an adult, you're a professional athlete. You ain't trying to have folks, just all up on you like that. So I get that component. However, if there is a voice that you can at least have to give you that moment of pause to say, yeah, bro, you might not want to do that. Man, I do what I want to do. But what if you da-da-da-da-da? Sometimes that moment of pause to just take that beat can be enough to give you that opportunity to say, okay, let's make the best choice and decision here. That's from the player side. From the owner/team side, I absolutely think that it's a good idea because it protects your investment. it allows those young men to have someone that's of leadership, and even if it's former players, even if it's I don't know, some licensed therapist, whomever it is, you get that to give them somebody who can be relatable, who they're going to want to listen to, but who also can help them to position themselves and again be in that position to make some moves to go forward.
I would love to see former players that again, not even that's in obscurity, but are looking, to have, it don't even have to be an exorbitant salary. We could take it as like, supplemental income or whatnot, but you then have an obligation of service as an older player to actually, to be responsible for somebody, in other words. So
Right.
that would continue to keep a why in the older players, you know what I mean? Like, so that they don't, fall off again, because we always hear about, look, this is what I've done all my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm gonna do after, and that's where it just ends at. But anywho, I know that you want to get to some of the comments soon as well. But I just wanted to, and I want to say this as concisely as possible, but it feels like the label thug and fake thug or whatnot definitely is thrown Ja's way, because we know his upbringing in a certain way. We know, to a certain degree, we know that. And the similar thing was said about T.I.'s son, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? However, let's not undersell and discount the power. And again, this is Carolina Sports Talk for y'all that were wondering, but I'm about to get high vibration esoteric on y'all real quick. Let's not discount like, as far as music, the effect of music, right? We know that one of Ja's favorite artists is NBA YoungBoy or whatever. So he's probably come up listening to YoungBoy, Chief Keef, Dirk, you feel what I'm saying? Lil Baby or whatever like that. We know who this guy is grown up just listening to, and you feeding your earwaves and everything with that stuff. And again, we've desensitized ourselves, especially since 2014 and 2013, and rest in peace Trayvon Martin and a number of people that we've lost. But we've desensitized ourselves to gun violence as well, of course, and everything with the music that's out, as far as drill music and stuff like that. So if it's not our version of what we know a thug or a gangster to be, but it is some variation of something that's not a a clean kid or whatever like that. It's not like, because he's not one doesn't mean that he's all the way the other. In other words, Aaron Hernandez type stuff exists, right? Like, he could have some skeletons and all of that stuff with the type of upbringing that he's had.
And that's the thing. There are levels. People want to typecast and put folks into little pockets and pigeonholes. Do I think that Ja's a thug? Absolutely not. Do I think he's soft, or do I think like he's pretending to be something that he's not? Absolutely not. Knowing the area that he's come from, knowing the people that he's around, knowing the kind of upbringing that he's experienced, knowing, again, all of those things, I think that he's authentically and genuinely who he is. Now, again, that does mean that he needs to tone something back a little bit, but there are elements of my personality, of things that, and you of all people know, because I think you see pretty much everything, but there are elements of my personality that if some who don't know me saw, they would never believe that those things to be true. There are those that say, oh, Cliff couldn't possibly do that. Ashton would. Hey man, shout out to Ashton, who's saving lives out here. But nonetheless, there can be inconsistencies, as some people would say, or contradictions within a person's personality. As somebody I forgot who said it in the chat, but these players go from a lot of instances having nothing to having, oh yeah, my parents are well off. They make $85,000 a year each, or $100,000 a year each, to you making that in a night. You see what I'm saying? And so ultimately, it is a big adjustment. The NFL several years ago implemented the NFL Rookie Symposium, where they had a series of courses over the training camp time period, and then even throughout the year and throughout the season, where they would have different speakers, testimonials from players who just trashed their opportunities, to help try to guide some of those. through the years, we saw that a lot of those instances did decrease. I would love to say that that's, a part of it. I don't have the anecdotal information and or research to support it. But again, they implemented it. We started seeing less of it. I think that the NBA could benefit heavily from either having the teams to do that on a certain level and or to having it be a league-wide instance and implementation to help some of these guys, or not just the rookies, but those who may be the scared straight of the NBA, I guess you would have it. It's necessary so that these guys don't continue to waste their opportunities.
Absolutely. And I mean, you got to think about it. The town, my hometown is called Merck City. I'm probably familiar with firearms and stuff like that. But again, it's the new age of exposing yourself and what you're doing, pause, and what you're doing or whatnot, as far as like crimes that you're committing or potential crimes and stuff like that. Because another name that I thought of is John Wall. So we might have to have like the hood. I don't want to like typecast, as you say, typecast. I don't want, but we gotta have some fun. But we could have like the hood starting lineup.
The old street team.
I just hate to do that to my fellow black men, but I gotta have some fun with this one, like, and really put why is Zebo not going to be my 4 or my 5, right? Why?
Now, because KG, I'm just saying.
You see what you're doing. Now you're really making the team. We gotta make a list. Shout out to Be Easy in them, but yeah, we gonna have to make a list or whatever.
For sure.
But yeah, I thought about John Wall and I thought about the popularity of what's the difference between 3, you know what I mean, bang or whatever, and what like the Carmelos of the world and John Walls would do with all of that. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to anybody out there in Facebook, YouTube. Do not approach me. All right,
I'm not again.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a grown man, so stop that. Like let's not do that. It's not too far away. It's not too far. It's never too far. So let's relax. I'm just giving that illustration. Yeah.
Dog, ultimately, it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Like I said, Ja, who's been the topic of it. I want to see my dog win, not just because
it's a great story already, right?
He's done so much to be a success, and he's on a trajectory up, man. For me to have said, dog, I can see bro being the next Kobe, man. Like,
I remember when you said that, and I said AI.
Listen, apparently he wants to do.
Relax. See, you see what I try to with. I'll give you the opportunity to test yourself to see where you're. And you just be taking the bait. Yeah, that's my job, is to make the outrageous statements on this
podcast. We share it.
All right, you have to get that in.
Yeah, big facts.
All right, man. Ultimately, prayers for job.
Go ahead.
I was gonna conclude with just saying, ultimately, you are honestly, South Carolina kid. We have a lot of connections and like degrees of separation between us. So I hope that everything with the Morant family works itself out for the better and everything like that. Yeah, I'm just keep at that because we could go on and on and on and on. Because
I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Couple of comments from the Facebook side. Everyone wants a player with that dog in them until that dog shows up in the player. Should everybody be like Bron? Corny, unauthentic, wrong word, rap lyrics.
Oh, no. Who is this?
Love, uber basketball talent. Listen, I don't think
Yo, why didn't you give them
Yo, do y'all ever notice that when LeBron is reading a book, he's always like on the first page? You see what I'm saying? Bruh, like it'll never,
like not the first page of the book, but like the forward, like the table of contents page.
I wish I had a book right. I'm reading this book and it's so interesting to me. Listen, hey Liz, listen, yes, the LeBron hate is real. I don't care nothing about nothing because my dog is jokey. He is one of the greatest successes of marketing in the history of sports. In 2002, 2003, 2002, really, out of nowhere, this kid from Akron playing with the Irish came out of nowhere and they hyped him to be the greatest thing ever. And then here he comes, and he's a good player. His first several years, he was not a good basketball player. He was an athletic basketball player, playing that bully ball steam, I'm too big and fast, y'all can't stop me type situation of ball. And then over time, he grew into being a little bit better of a player, still not a great shooter. Commodore, see that man from Charleston, 843 stand up. Commodore said the LeBron awareness is real. All we do is state facts here on Carolina Sports Talk, folks. We call it like we see it. But he's the greatest marketing ploy in the history of the league, and this is why he will never be the greatest player. He cannot be the GOAT. He's a marketing ploy. But nonetheless, we're going to move forward because saying we can talk about Ja forever, I can listen. I don't like LeBron James. I'm a hardcore Laker fan. I love my squad. I'm ready for him to get about that purple and gold. Go put on some blue or something. Next up, Draymond Green quits on a play after not receiving a pass from Jordan Poole. Guys, in case you missed it, I think they were playing they were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and there was a play where he was in the post around the free throw point, the free throw line, trying to get down low, had his hands up for a pass. Poole sees it, passes it around, they swing it around, and he just in true Draymond fashion, I want the ball, throws his hands up and walks away from the play. And during such, it ends up being a turnover, leads to points on the other end. I guess this could have been a big deal or no thing, but what are your thoughts on the situation there in where are they now? Not San Francisco. Are they in San Fran now?
Yeah.
They're not in the Bay. Yeah, so with the Golden State Warriors.
Let's just say the Bay, yeah.
Let's say the Bay Area.
I mean, yeah, everything, first of all, with that everything with that dynamic was going to be magnified. You know, we already knew that and stuff like that. We knew that was going to happen. But Draymond's toxicity is consistently showing its ugly head, or ugly face. Like, it's consistently showing up in the most inopportune times, if that makes sense. Like, my issue with him, I think around that time, and like, I forget when I alluded to it, probably when we was talking about the fight, but there are these situations you blow up at Steve Kerr. Oh, it's Draymond being Draymond. You do this with Jordan Poole. It's Draymond being Draymond. You do something on the court, and that stuff with Jaylen Brown. I think that's what I was alluding to. Is Draymond being Draymond or whatever like that. When is it gonna be like really that straw that breaks the camel's back in that catastrophic mistake to where you're gonna look and say, oh snap, like I really did it this time? Like, when? You know what I'm saying? So all of this stuff is like little fires that you could put out, little things and stuff that you could just put out. But those type of people are self-destructive, who lack self-control, and you know, who don't have self-control. They're really destructive, self-destructive, and everything around them ends up catching residual destruction. You know what I mean? So it's sad, man. It's sad. Exactly. Thank you, Casey. You executed it perfectly, pretty much. When distraction outweighs the contribution, you know, that's where we're at right now with Draymond.
I 1000% agree with both of you. I think Casey hit it directly on the head. When they were winning championships and when he was an athletic contributor and being able to guard every position from the 1 to the 5, they could deal with some of the antics with him, even when he was the sole reason that LeBron got a championship. I'm sorry to hate back on LeBron hate, but his antics that cost him that technical foul and allowed him to miss Game 6 in that NBA Finals, and then LeBron ended up coming back and winning in Game 7. They were able to overlook that. The very next year, they got KD. He came, they won. Him being the reason that KD left for blowing up at KD and we don't need you here. You can go ahead and do whatever you got to do. Draymond, I'm literally in real life, in real time, realizing that he's been a cancer for this team.
Listen, I'm sorry. Listen, I got to jump in here. Now, granted, like you said, can guard 1 to 5, but also the best ability is what?
Availability.
Exactly. And that's the other thing about it as well. A durable guy, he's going to play 60 to 70 games out of a season. So, I think that he felt like his leverage or his value increased that season that they didn't have Clay and that they didn't have Steph, and
Mhm.
it was the only one left to hold man the ship, and he's the leader of the team and this and that. I think that's when that ego and all that started to really inflate.
Detroit Coalition says on YouTube, there's a better chance that the Bears take a quarterback at number 1 than Draymond being in Golden State for the 23-24 season. Now, that's interesting for several reasons, simply because I'm not altogether convinced that I'm talking to, but that the Chicago Bears won't take a quarterback at number 1.
So now, you are true. No, it's correct. In all, he's correct. It just was it was a whelming take. If that's the case, that's all. It was a whelming take, but that's cool though.
But no, nonetheless, I do feel like I don't think he's going to be in Golden State. I don't see a path to how. His level of production is not there. The level of headache absolutely is. With the money that they gave to Jordan Poole this year, what they decide to do with both he and Clay will be interesting to see, but I don't really see a path to Draymond being back in there next year.
Yeah, I'll raise you one more, buddy. All right. I had this conspiracy theory when the tape first dropped, the fight.
Mm-hmm. I remember that he was trying to.
Yeah, so right, like that's definitely like, and we both agree with Detroit there. Like, yeah, that's definitely there's really little chance that we see Draymond in a Warriors uniform next season.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely keep an eye on that, and I wish, bro. Well, listen, we'll check him out on his podcast. If it don't work out with this basketball thing, at least he's got his media. I wouldn't
the new media.
The new media. I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting some kind of recurring, more so than he already does, role with the Turner side of things. Because him, Chuck, and Shaq are really funny together. Him and Chuck more specifically, but yeah, he's entertaining for TV because basketball ain't in it for no more. But let's go ahead and move forward. You had something else or nah? Go ahead.
Bro, I honestly don't. I'm just trying to play ball, man. I'm a team player.
Let's go ahead and jump in a big deal, no thing.
That's a big deal.
That ain't no thing. You know the segment we give you topics in sports and tell you if it's a big deal or no thing. First up, the Los Angeles Lakers have retired Paul Gasol's number 16 jersey. Big deal or no thing?
Shout out to ASMR and everybody that likes ASMR. But yeah, I just learned about that term. I think you're the one that told me. Anyways, yeah, bro, big deal. I can't.
Come on, dog. Don't even fix your mouth to do anything else other than acknowledge greatness. Go ahead. Tell me why you say it's a big deal. And more importantly, tell me why why it's not a big deal.
Wait. More importantly,
tell me why you were even on the fence with why it wasn't a big deal.
Oh no, that part was strictly because I'm a hater. But no, outside of that, exactly, bro. Like that, I was just trying to find an angle to but you can't. There's nothing. Again, what can you say? In La La Land, purple and gold rafters, and to have that 16, of course, we see it with his actions post Kobe's death. He feels that we feel the debt of gratitude. I feel like he feels that he owes Kobe for life. In other words, for the rest of his life, right? And what better reinforcement of you and Kobe's relationship or friendship or brotherhood than to have your you be exactly and put up there in the rafters. So it is a big deal. Shout out and congratulations. I can salute, great career. And it's going to it's going to bleed into, just remember this part, but it's going to bleed into one of my later points, but one of the notable global stars and international stars that we have in the game. So shout out to Pal. Yeah, don't try to see where I'll go with that. But go ahead.
I'm waiting. We all are. Good tease, sir. 8, 16, 24.
Oh my gosh. This guy.
It just It's just meant to be. Just to
How
have
much?
the 8 and the 24 sitting right next to 16 in the rafters for all perpetuity, for all of history, is just something special. As a Lakers fan, I watched them play. I didn't understand until well after they both stopped playing the level of relationship that they had and how close they were, even with their families being as tight as they like Kobe's kids literally say Uncle Paul. Like that's and even since his death, you mentioned it. He stepped up in the role that he's taken with them and being around the girls. I have nothing but respect for Pau Gasol. He was an incredible player. He was a Robin to Kobe's Batman, and he was integral in winning those 2 and what should have been 3 championships that they won together in those 7 years. Because we got robbed by the Celtics on that last one, but nonetheless, ultimately, I have nothing but respect for him. He deserves everything that he has been given. His number absolutely should be up there. I, at some point, have to get me a Pau Gasol jersey, not just because it's a 16, but out of respect, not just because it's a 16. Shout out to the 16s. You know what I'm talking about? But he was integral, as I mentioned, in obtaining those 2 championships. Now, go ahead.
Is it not Pau Gasol or is it tomato thing? No, yeah, Pau definitely. Okay, I give you the first name. That's cool. But I'm saying the last name, you're cringing
Gasol.
me with that, bro. Huh?
Gasol.
Because you took your time just now. My fault.
What was I saying before?
It was rushed and it sounded off. It was like Gasol or something like Gasol. Like, that's what you're saying. Paul Gasol.
Gasol, bro. Anyway, this guy here. No, so Paul is he's that guy. One of the things that bothered me and annoyed me, and yes, Amy, the LeBron awareness is returning. Do you know that on the night that this man's jersey was retired, there were those who said, "Oh, congratulations to Paul Gasol," and shout out to LeBron, who's is going to be the next one. What? There is no, and I hate that I'm even giving this time on my show, but at the end of the day, there is no reason for LeBron James to have his jersey right now, for him to have his jersey retired as a Laker. He won 1 championship in the bubble. It's a championship, and it counts. Celtics fans, it counts. But other than that, in his 5 seasons, let's talk about what he's done. 5 seasons in Los Angeles. I'm going to put it behind the camera. 5. One of them, he won a championship. One of them, first round exit. The other 3, he missed the playoffs. Now, if you look at all of the players, and I think they are now, if I'm not mistaken, 12 numbers or players that have had their numbers retired by the Los Angeles Lakers. No jersey, no statue for LBJ. Shout out to Ashton, who once again is proving his wisdom. Other than that, the whole Carson Wentz joke.
Relax.
He doesn't need a statue. He doesn't. No, Liz, he doesn't. He doesn't need a statue. He doesn't need his jersey retired. Now, if bro plays
not in LA,
not in LA, Cleveland, even in Miami, I could see Miami. You know what I mean, throwing up the number 6 in the rafters and saying, "Yo, shout out LeBron, we appreciate it." And I understand and respect those who may argue and say, "Oh, he passed the all-time scoring record while wearing a..." So what? Let the NBA retire his number. Los Angeles don't need to. I'm sick of it, over it. Not talking about it no more. Next up, Kendrick. What?
I had some stuff to say about the LeBron stuff, but
go ahead.
You're not, because you was on your soapbox. You did your thing.
Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it no more. I won't talk about it.
I was going to say, all right, I was going to say, it's similar to 2 things. It reminds me of 2 things right now. How they've cheapened Walker Star. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. The Walk of Fame, Hollywood Star, Walk of Fame. I apologize, y'all, but it's not what it used to be. I don't know who's buying them. All right, where you go through to buy it, but I'm sorry. And what they did to the Source back in the day with the 5 mics, they cheapened and weakened the 5 mic in the mic system. I think Benzino, even though he was the owner of the Source at the time, had 5 mics on his albums, and after people saw that, they was like, all right, we're not even taking this serious anymore. Right. So that could have the similar effect, because again, while he has the school and the foundation, and he's moonlighting as Tasha Mack, and everything else is going on for him. What have you done in LA itself? So yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. Hollywood Walk of Fame. That brand is done right now. And same thing with the 5 mics in the source. So
big facts. Next up on Big Deal No Thing, Kendrick Perkins suggests that the NBA MVP voting is racially biased. I'll let you give a Big Deal No Thing, and then we'll jump into it and give a little background. Big deal or no thing?
I mean, yeah, the reason that I'm saying big deal is JJ Redick's part of the whole situation as well.
Okay, and we'll dig into that.
That's a big deal.
And I say big deal as well.
That's a
big
deal.
For those who may have missed it, Kendrick Perkins on ESPN First Take recently went on and alluded to and suggested and hinted at the NBA being, I don't say rigged, but being racially biased, saying on Wednesday that only 3, I'm going to say it in Ferg voice, only 3 players since 1990 have won an MVP, despite being outside. I'm not going to stop that now. Outside the top 10 in points per game. Jokic in his first one, he's again reigning back to back. Dirk in 2006 and Steve Nash in 2005, and then again in 2004, 2005, and again in 05, 06. What do these guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it, he said, talking to Stephen A. Smith.
You think about it. Yo, oh my
Moses Moody. Listen, that is the funniest TV moment in history for me. Him trying to say Moses Moody on at the NBA draft. Hilarious. But today on ESPN's First Take, or was it yesterday, whenever it was, days mixed up, JJ Redick actually fired back. JJ Redick, who I have an immense level of respect for, who, although he is a Dookie, I loved watching his career throughout the NBA, and he is a really great analyst who's not afraid to be outside the mold of controversy for the sake of controversy, as is such the kind of standard mold for the ESPN folks these days. He jumped on ESPN First Take and had this to say in rebuttal.
I'm going to insert the jazz music right now while we're waiting.
Oh, so y'all can hear that. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm sitting there looking at it, listening to it. Y'all can hear that. So let's do this. And I'm going to do
How Did Careless Whisper by George Michael go?
That was terrible. And thank you for it, though. Well, this is what he had to say on ESPN's First Take.
No offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take.
Because
I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now. Hold on.
I stated,
one at a time.
It's the facts.
One at a time.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
Okay.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
Right. Shout out to us for repurposing that. But go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll figure out the legalities later. Right.
They'll either let it go or they won't. So they had that heated debate. It was brought up and said that Kendrick is being race baity, trying to get some ratings for ESPN. High Star, you said it's a big deal. First of all, why do you think it's a big deal, and where do you stand?
The reason why I think it's a big deal, that's a weighted answer. But so what it is where I stand with JJ Redick, honestly. So first and foremost, he's built up the cachet and the equity with me as far as for me to trust him as an analyst, that he's not doing any kind of caricature of himself, that he's being his genuine self at all times whenever he's on there, and he's earned his seat on those various shows on ESPN, but more importantly and more specifically, First Take. So I like him calling that out, and then I also like how Kendrick because I'm okay, fourth wall and inviting everyone into Black America for a second. We'll do this thing a lot of times where he walked it back, right? So because like you quoted him, so we didn't see it in real time, but the end of his statement was what? Come on now, or something like that.
Come on now, y'all see it. What?
So that part is what sent JJ over the edge clearly, and he called it out and caught Kendrick up. But this is what we do.
I let you marinate.
Yeah, we get logistic, like technical, whenever it benefits us, right? So I never said don't put no words in my mouth. And then JJ, of course, educated out of North Carolina, out of Duke, but was like I was saying out of the state of North Carolina, but I heard how that sounded, but similar to the whole North Charleston thing a couple weeks ago. Anyways, he corrected like what Perk was trying to say right there on the spot. Like, no, I'm not saying that, but the narrative that you were implying, do not lie and don't sit here and lie. So now let's get to why I rock with JJ's point, in other words, or his side of it. There is something in common with those people. Can you name those people once again? The MVPs?
Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash,
right,
and Jokic.
And what's the other thing that those three guys have in common outside of being white? They're all global and international players. And so shout out to Pau Gasol, Dirk, shout out to Vlad, all the way back to Vlade Divac of the world, right? Tony Kukoc of the world. We are now looking at, fast forward, a game where that is highlighted. So even the Embiids of the world, the Siak, we saw just now how the All-Star game was catered to our African brothers and sisters with Afrobeat, and they highlighted, of course, Black History Month. They know they have a certain sensitivity to that stuff, of course, which would not negate Kendrick's point if I felt like that it was valid, right? But again, I feel like JJ understands and knows, as well as everyone else that is close to the association, that their focus is on the global game and the international star. Luka is one of the faces of the league right now. Of course, Jokic, like we talk about all the time, is one of the faces of the league. Down to Ben Simmons, you know what I'm saying? Some of the Canadian players, like your Wiggins of the world and stuff like that. Like, these guys, we're not picking it American talent, like from an American talent pool, and just saying this is where all of our NBA players are coming from. So with that being said, and the dynamic of the show, with JJ knowing like how the behind the scenes stuff goes and everything like that, he's kind of like, yo, cut the nonsense. Yeah. Yo, cut this out. Like, seriously, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I felt like it's gone. But
so let me ask you this. I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Oh Lord, I hate devil's advocates.
With everything, thanks. That makes it even better. With everything that you just said, does that not in itself constitute a certain level of racism for Black players? If you're saying we recognize that y'all are doing your thing and that your performance and that your level is here, but we want to spotlight a little bit more of the global perspective and some of these other squads. So we're not going to give it to you. We're going to give it to somebody who may be almost as good, maybe not as good. And we give it to them to spotlight and to give people to help build the global brand. Does that not in a way discriminate against the Black players just for being Black and not being for? Because discrimination and or racism doesn't necessarily have to be white to Black.
Domestic, right. Domestic, yeah.
Right. And so to an extent, doesn't that in itself still support Perk's claim to say that, yeah, they were being done a little dirty based on wanting to grow that international brand? It doesn't have to be about a white man's game, or it's more so they're just being discriminated against for global individuals.
It's plausible, but the thing about it is there's a couple of things about it. It's plausible, but with with Jokic, would you say that, or say Giannis, like all of these again? Now I see what you're saying as far as white versus black or whatever. Like the discrimination is discrimination, of course. But like I said, it's possible. However, the talent is still there. In other words, like it's not like they've given, like the years that Steve Nash got the MVP,
Let's talk about it.
like that's when. But again, so are we talking about in totality, or like is Kendrick talking about in a vacuum? Is he talking about right now the state of the NBA? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand what he's talking about. Or again, from that Steve Nash, that's never sat right with me. To be frank with you, the frequency of these back-to-back MVPs nowadays isn't super normal, because especially given the level of parity and talent that's in the league, it doesn't feel, like everything is but to me, again, the candidates that they choose are performing and delivering.
To an extent, like you said, with the exception,
Nash thing was different. That was, and he was nice too, though. He was doing his thing, but it was just different. It was like, we want to show y'all a different face, like a different. This is a different look of the NBA, like not just the aesthetics physically of him being a white man with the hair that he had and stuff, but a soccer player that loves to run and stuff like that can get out there and just run up and down the court and be the facilitator and be seen as a great player, if you know what I'm saying. So it was it's just all nasty. It's nasty.
The more and more that you talk, the more and more that I'm leaning towards Perk, and I literally came into.
I want you to stay strong in whatever you lean towards.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there. I think that it's a matter of specifically starting with Steve Nash. It was such a reach that it alarmed a lot of us, and it was the first one. It's like, yo, wait, what? Over Kobe? Are you serious right now? Now, to Detroit's point, and he says from YouTube, what Kendrick said would have had more weight if Jokic and Luka weren't playing like the greatest of this so-called greatest era. I don't know that they are. Like, I know the stats and the numbers that Luka is running up, but much the same argument that I say with LeBron, it's numbers. Winning matters. Elevating your team matters. Luka didn't elevate that team. Now, Jokic is a different story, even though they've not been able to cross over the hill and get to a chip. Right. He does play at a high level, and he's a whole different type of player. I will acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But I think that with that trend that started with Nash, they're a little bit more inclined to do that. Granted, the level of play has elevated, and they are at a good level. But we've been now conditioned that it's not outside the norm, so that even if if you were to take away the names, if you were to take away the black or white faces or international faces and names and look at the numbers, I think that there's a lot more argument to be made for some of these American, whether it be black or white players, with regards to the bias, as opposed to what it was then. But again, we've now become conditioned that these players now, like if you take it away, yeah, Luka is great. Yeah, Joker is great. But if you look at their numbers up against some of these other players, there are greater that persist and are available that should have some consideration aside from Giannis. I think Giannis's numbers last year. Yeah, but even true story. LeBron,
KD and LeBron is probably the American choices right now.
That could
outside of that, bro, you got Embiid, you got Giannis, you got Jokic, you got nothing but international.
Curry.
Huh? No, that's what I'm saying. You got the big name. Well, and we know as far as with Steph, he could get. It's no surprise if he gets the MVP any year, kind of like LeBron.
Right.
But that's again a KD breakout year, or a year where he doesn't do something that mess up his brand. Maybe he could qualify or be a candidate for an MVP or whatever like that. But outside of them, like about probably 4 to 5 names, because again, you also got your D Lillards of the world, Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have these American superstars are gonna step up. Brings me to another list idea real quick.
Okay.
All time international team. Maybe
Put it down
starting
in
five or lineup. So yeah.
I have to bring that one back up a little bit later. But ultimately, I think that there is an argument to have, and this is actually a conversation that I'd love us to revisit. We may have to dig back into this one a little bit longer, a little bit later.
Maybe when the MVP gets announced, maybe.
Precisely. Let's get it. Now, just before we head out, I do have an impromptu, nothing to do with sports, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox for 1 second. First of all, I definitely want to give a shout out to the Military Magnet Academy girls basketball team for winning the state championship. Shout out and congratulations to Coach, my guy, for winning their third in a row. But anytime you become dominant, anytime you get to a level of execution that folks are just not happy with, it's similar. I kind of liken it to if you go out and drop 71 points in the NBA, you're almost definitely in a week or so going to get a boop. You've been randomly selected for a drug test. Or like when your boy in the NFL went and did that amazing feat with the jumping and all, boop, drug test. Like it's kind of like that. When you start winning and dominating to that level, folks are going to be hating. Coach Danny Taylor.
DK Metcalf.
Thank you. Fine. That's a fine. Coach Danny Taylor and the Military Magnet Eagles girls basketball team have been the recent subjection to a lot of accusations and hate and vitriol online. And I just wanted to take a minute to address it. I know Coach wouldn't, and the girls hopefully aren't even seeing it or paying attention to it. But there are those who are saying, oh, they're recruiting. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing that. Oh, they're cheating. When in reality, this is a scrappy bunch of young women who have played together since 6th grade. And there are those out there who are saying that, oh, he's recruiting. He's pulling people from other schools. There are some of the schools here in the state that do recruit. Basketball, it is what it is. You've got a lot of academies who are in these different institutions that are coming into these areas and pulling students from their home schools. If anybody knows anything about Charleston, South Carolina, and where Military Magnet is located, and in the building that it is, the old Norman C2 middle school and then high school, there is nothing out there to recruit to. And that's not a dig at them, but it's located in an area that is not conducive to recruitment. It's a military style school that folks do not want to, like a lot of kids in the area that are supposed to go to the school don't want to go to the school. And it's asinine to me to believe, or for people who know nothing about the institution, to generalize based on what the last name and the name of the school, Military Magnet Academy. Oh, they must be doing this and they must be doing that. These girls are out there, blood, sweat, and tears, fighting for their squad, fighting for each other, and fighting for their coach. Anybody that's online hating, first of all, grow up, get a life. Stop it. Stop it. Second of all, I want to give another shout out to these girls for being amazing basketball players and winning their third state championship in a row. Coach has dictated and already said anybody that's willing to play them, he's going to play them. He doesn't run from anybody. He's got a matchup next year with Grays Collegiate, and I expect that to be an amazing game. He's going to be playing in some other tournaments, get another chance at South Point like they did this year. So he's not running from the powerhouses in the state of South Carolina. They are not afraid to play anybody. And that's what allows them to be who they are. And so shout out to Coach Taylor again for all that he's done with those girls, and shout out to those young women for being dynamic basketball players and student athletes.
Agreed. I have nothing to do with sports as well.
Go for it.
But it kind of has something to do with sports, honestly.
As it always does.
Right. So appreciate you, Detroit Coalition, of course, saying he's first-time viewer. Hopefully not the first time. I mean, not the last time or whatnot. And and you know, we earned your listenership. So we appreciate you. But also, so real quickly, what's your boy's name? Jake Paul takes his first L versus Tommy Fury. Homie's brother. Oh, you're rubbing off on me, Big Cliff. Pause.
You. You
But,
know.
what's your man's name? His brother though. Hey, I'm a
That's a
good
rich Paul,
fighter. I'm
now
a
you,
great
you know,
fighter.
you know I don't know nobody names, but go ahead.
I drank 19 beers on the wall. Yeah. So yeah, he lost to Tommy Fury, and then also Creed.
Nick Fury.
I'm sorry.
I said Nick Fury.
Nah, Tyson. I think Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Tyson. Oh, you talking about Tyson Fury, the heavyweight fighter? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. See, relax. You gonna make me use profanity on this live. I've been straight this whole
You've been
episode.
doing real good. Shout out.
Yes. But Creed dropped.
Mm,
Shout out to J.
fire.
Cole. Shout out to J. Cole for putting together that soundtrack. I will be at Dreamville Fest, so this is nothing to do with sports.
I'm mad about it. My dog. Yo, shout out to dog going out to Dreamville Fest and not
Guess who's not going to be there?
this guy. Oh, you are so joke. Dog, anything you want to holler at the people before we get out of here, man?
I appreciate all y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. You know what I'm saying? Watch your mouth. You're talking about Ashton or KC out there, all right? Because I don't play about them. But, yo, shout out to everybody, man.
And that's going to do it for us with another episode of Carolina Sports Talk. Again, thank you for tuning in on your favorite podcast app, YouTube, and Facebook. Next time, tell your smart speaker, play Carolina Sports Talk. You can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Carolina Sports Talk. Or to be a part of the show, join us on one of our lives or email us show, cliff@carolinasportstalk.net. Again, we appreciate the love. Go get your merch, Carolina Sports Talk t-shirts. They out here. Let's go.
Your attention, please. Halfway. Halfway.
What?